I would sell dope, my left leg, and maybe even my firstborn child to go to the prom with Zoe Kravitz.
Oh my god. Dude. Life changes for Malcolm, a geek who's surviving life in a tough neighborhood after a chance invitation to an underground party leads him and his friends into a Los Angeles adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the synopsis for the movie Dope back in 2015. Yeah.
Yeah.
As we
it's
do
back on Netflix. It was gone
it's
for a
on
little
off
bit.
Netflix as well. We are doing a retro review of a movie that has been out for quite some time. It came out in 2015. But as you know, and if you don't know, now you know, we do our one sentence review. Since we keep it black in this place because we're blurs, Jason, you go first.
Oh man. I would sell dope, my left leg, and maybe even my firstborn child to go to the prom with Zoe Kravitz.
Oh my god. Dude, I would marry Lenny Kravitz to go to prom with Zoe Kravitz. Oh, that's your daughter? It's like, that's your stepson. Lisa, one sentence review.
The title says it all. That shit is dope.
Woo! That pure.
Me, I really wish there was like a really cool term in AAVE to describe how cool this movie is. I really wish there's just a word for it.
Just like some word.
Just some word.
That could like
say how cool this movie is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seem...
I don't. It's not a very expressive language, so.
It's almost like the movie starts off giving you that word.
Which, it's funny because that is some real confidence right there. When you start the movie off saying, you know what, this movie, you're going to get what you get on the tin, right? This is
yes.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
I'll start us off here with this movie. This is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, honestly. I love this movie. And I was going to watch it with my kid, but it had some nudity in it, so I'll wait till next year.
Like
and then I can...
funny nudity, though.
Yeah, she does. I just don't want his mom to get down. I'm like, you watched a movie with boobies in it? I'm like, he's 14. He's seen boobies before. Right? Like, come on. Don't enter his room. But like Malcolm, oh my God. Like speaking of experiences, even though I did not grow up in a neighborhood of underprivilegedness or in any sort of way that would be shaped as any sort of hood or ghetto, I have had similar experiences to Malcolm. I did not become a drug kingpin, nor did I go to Harvard, but I was that nerdy black. I mean, this is why we started the show, right? It's because we were those dirty black kids who talked about comic books and listened to stuff and dressed a little differently than the other kids at school, and I personally never get picked on because, I was like a step away from becoming one of those, Columbine kids. So they're like, oh, leave that kid alone.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
But there was other people that were picked on.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like this movie. Is not only is it fun, not only does it have fun music, the characters are great. It's just like, it's like Boys in the Hood, but without all the tragedy. Right? Like it's just that. Like a fun one of those like college adventure movies, but starring little brown kids and their Indian friend and Blake from from trying to say the N-word. Like,
that scene is so funny. They're like, go ahead, say it. She's like, if you say it,
I'm gonna slap you. Like, no, she's not. She's like, go ahead and say it. It's like, all right, thank you. Like,
but we do now know that like 14% is the least that you have to be black to be able to use it.
Yeah,
he's like, no, he was 18% or something like that.
No, 14. He's still 14.
14% black.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie, the characters are fun, the story is fun, and it's just all around like a perfect Ryan Frickwanowa, just so great. Lisa, what do you got to say about it?
Yeah, so I was a later in life to this movie because it came out in 2015, and that was like a time where my life was insane. I was working full time and going to college full time and had kids and husband. Like I had no free time. And so my husband saw it and he was like, you got to watch this movie. You got to watch this movie. And then I was salty that he watched it without me. So for spite, I didn't watch it for years. So literally, because it's like one of his favorite movies. And he would just always talk about it. He got like all my friends to watch it. And I was like the only one, because I'm a brat, who didn't watch it. And so like literally I finally watched it last year when it wasn't on Netflix, so we had to pay to rent it.
Oh my god! I would pay money for this movie.
Yeah, it's fine. And so, but when I watched it, I was just like, "Oh my god, this movie's so good." He's like, "I know," like basically, like I hate you. But so watching it again, it's so good. It's so good. It's so fun. The writing is amazing. And it's interesting for me because I went to Inglewood last year.
For Taylor Swift concert, wasn't it?
For BTS.
BTS. I'm sorry, yes. One of those boy bands.
And so Inglewood doesn't look like that anymore. Like it's suburbia. Like it is just like, it's so gentrified and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, because Snoop made it popular.
Yeah. So for me, like I didn't realize how old that movie was. So whenever they were showing Inglewood, I like paused it and then looked to see when the movie came out and then looked to see when the movie took place, because I was like, what the crap? And then I realized it was like right before all the
and also
gentrification.
With Inglewood and a lot of those Southern California cities, there's still nice parts to them too. Like you can grow up in Inglewood and not have had that experience.
Yes.
Like that.
Just like any
just like any place. Like for example, I mean, not saying that they weren't rich, but like Sublime, you know, that whole band grew up like 3 blocks down from where Snoop grew up. You know, not saying they did, but you know, like it's like anywhere else. Like there's bad places and there's good places.
Yeah. So, but oh god, it's just so funny, and just like, and it all feels believable. You know, like it feels like that could totally happen. And I just the line that just got me, where I just was like laughing, was whenever Malcolm was talking to like his counselor, and the counselor's like, okay, so I have a Harvard alum and he works at like the used car lot or whatever, and
the check cashing place.
The check cash place. Malcolm was like, and the counselor was like, they can't all be president.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my god, like that's just such a funny line. And then you think about, how many Harvard graduates are there? Just like, I mean, I worked with a Harvard graduate at Kroger. So, I'm just like, I guess that's true. They can't all be president. So
I mean, he still was a upstanding citizen, quote unquote.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Oh man. Is it my turn yet?
If you say you hate this movie, I'm coming to your house right now and I'm gonna fight you.
Look. Just because I want you to show up. I hate this movie. What you gonna do? No. All right. Look. It is very few moments in cinema where I feel like, for the most part, it is telling the story of my life and how life was. This ain't completely there, but for a lot of the trauma and the experiences, I'm definitely here for. So what I liken this to, for the people who haven't seen this movie, I will say this is a Black version of Risky Business, just minus the prostitution and insert the drug game. Mm-hmm. Malcolm's character is so beautifully characterized, from his style, from his intelligence, but also from his mannerisms, how he rarely looks people directly into the eye, in their eye early on, but at the end, that final scene where he speaks to AJ and he's giving him dead ass, and it's like he's realized, like I hate to say it, and this is some of the things I do hate about a lot of Black movies, is sometimes violence and trauma has to shape Black people and especially Black boys into men. And if you go back to movies like Baby Boy, and we talked about Boys to Men and all that, like all of this trauma that shaped
Boys in the Hood.
Boys
Boys
in the Hood.
I'm thinking of Menace to Society too. Also, Boys to Men helps you turn from a boy to a man too.
Let's be real.
Who has tried to mack on a girl with the end of the road? But the point is that I
On
typically
Big
hate
Knee.
that in yes, or in black movies is that the trauma has to make the boy turn into a man. I love it here in this movie for differences because Malcolm was always the man. He
Mhm.
always had a strong sense of self because you were watching this movie repeatedly. People ask him who he is and what is his answer? I'm Malcolm.
I'm Malcolm.
Mhm.
I'm just
Yeah,
Malcolm.
like it's never any point where he's like, "Oh, I'm black," or "I'm this," or "I'm a nerd." I mean, no, he's like, "No, I'm Malcolm." Like he's firmly secure, and I think that's the most manliest thing you could be is be
Mhm.
secure in yourself and know your strengths and also know your weaknesses. The only scene that is out of character in this whole movie for me is the counselor calling him arrogant.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. That's the
Yeah,
only
that-
flaw in this whole movie to me.
Because
Is
that
that the
counselor be like, I
counselor-
need you to get this paper right out now so you can go to Harvard so I can pull up my numbers.
right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yo,
Yeah.
I need you to go.
Because
Like, you need help. You need me to do something for you. Let me pull it.
Right, because it happens so early in the film, you think this is going to have a play into his characterization through the rest of it, but it never does.
Mhm.
Malcolm's never arrogant. Malcolm's never overly confident. He's always secure in himself, but always cautious as well. But there's a lot of great things in this movie, and then, like you said, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Hell, on the ride home,
I wish there was a word
from-
for it.
So good.
yeah. Yes, that soundtrack
Ah.
could be. The soundtrack's very Molly. No, Molly's not it.
No,
It's
no.
Lily.
very
Lily.
yeah, Lily. No, Lily's not it. Maybe we could call it dope. But yes, on the ride home.
Oh, that's a good
from,
word.
on the ride home from the girls from daughter's track practice, I was playing the soundtrack from it because there's a lot of hip hop hits. But also, I didn't know this until today that Pharrell wrote all the punk rock songs.
Yeah.
On this, and they're really, really good,
Ooh.
and they're really, really catchy. And once I've realized it, I'm like, wow, even more kudos. It took me back to my NERD days when he was doing that. But anyway,
When
great
we all
movie,
were
great
doing
movie,
that.
great movie. Yeah, great movie. If you have not seen Dope, what are you waiting on? Stop listening to this review. Go see
Go see
Dope,
it.
and then come
Yeah.
back and listen to this review.
Yeah. Don't be a brat like me. Watch it on Netflix.
Yeah. I ain't watching the show. Watch it without me.
Right.
Listen, I was okay. I know. I understand. I admit my flaws. I was wrong. It was so and I think it goes back to what we were talking about with Ron, and like how you guys were always saying like how you identify in your blackness, and Malcolm, I feel like
Right.
really went through that. Like, why does it have to be one thing or another? And so I just remember being a nerd and it not being okay, like ever. And I'm glad that it's not like that anymore, or maybe that's just my experience now, But I never was
also, too,
bullied.
like-
I was not bullied. I missed that. Like, thankfully, high school was kind to me in that regard. So I don't know what it's like to
But
have my
also, what
shoes
crazy
stolen.
part is that like Malcolm, if we had like black card bingo, Malcolm pretty much checks a bunch of boxes: absent father, single
Mhm.
mother household,
And he
like
also
lives
likes
in an
old school
apartment.
hip-hop.
He
Like I was
he
gonna say,
likes the good shit.
Yeah.
anybody
like,
didn't like old school. He liked new shit too.
Yeah.
It's just that he
Yeah.
preferred old school
Old
stuff.
school,
Like
yeah.
the whole Jeezy and LeBron from is a Jay-Z line for more like again, it's just.
But I did love how he was talking about all the old school and he knew the names and the songs. But who was it in the beginning? Was it Tyga in the beginning or
It was
ASAP?
Dom. I guess that it was whoever plays Dom.
that
ASAP
A$AP?
Rocky.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
A$AP
ASAP
Rocky.
was just like, what are you talking about? That was in
Yes.
1988, and then
Yeah.
the other
And
was
that
in
one was in
2001. That's not
2001.
even 90s music. And he's like,
Right.
it feels like it.
I also like in this movie, especially with Dom's character, they did something that kind of subverted normally when you see a drug dealer in a movie. Yeah, he's trying to get him to do shit for him, right? But he's like, hey, you're that smart kid who's smart and like you like stuff. You're like, I think you're cool, man. Like normally in the movie, the drug dealer's like, like the other drug dealers are like, I'm gonna corrupt you and I'm gonna beat your ass until you do what I tell you. And the other guy's like,
Right.
just like, yo, we're gonna having a party, and like, which is really how drug dealers do it. They're not mean to you. They're just super nice, and you just end up and like after 5 minutes, like, wait a second, am I a drug dealer too now? It's like, because you started hanging out with him.
Yes.
Like, am I
He
in a
was-
gang?
Well articulated.
Yeah.
Like he was
Like he could talk to and he could talk to this. I especially love the speech about it's a slippery slope, and the one guy's like,
Oh, such a great
I'm not understanding what you're
wow.
talking about.
Yes.
Then he's like, "Great, did you not just hear what he just said?"
Yeah, he spoke. I think it's
I
like
was still
skin.
confused.
Skin. What are you talking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, or even just like, let's even just call it out. The jab at Obama and the jab at like the government tyranny that let me just like solely thrown in a movie and just take it out. Like beautiful. Like, hey, not enough to start a discussion, but enough to say, like was very, very like with drone strikes. Like, yes, it was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like sitting there watching the drone strikes and
and
laughing,
celebrating it. Yeah.
And the one guy's like, "This is morbid," and the guy's like, "Yo, like they're killing terrorists." Like, no, they're killing kids. They can be killing Americans too. Like, that's such a really, really sly, but very on the nose. But still, if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't have got it. Commentary on the Obama era because that's what he did. He was like, Obama shit out of everybody. Boo, 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 boo. America.
Drone king.
And the friendship was solid because there was a one point where it felt like it was going to take that
that always has that
tropey turn of like the kids leaving the friends ditching them and the friends like, you're the one who wanted to go there in the first place.
So I'm done. I'm out of this. And he's like,
you're right. Like, let's keep going.
And the cool thing about Malcolm was like, yo, you're right. It is my problem. You know, y'all don't have to be a part of this. I'll deal with myself. And then Diggy was like, nah, we were all there. You know,
which is how I feel like it would be in real life.
No, I'd be like, oh shit, you gotta deal with that drug dealer by yourself. But I would like my check though, because I did help you out.
I thought it was like a narrate. Like the movie starts out with like Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Mr. Forrest Whitaker. Yeah.
But then it ends with Malcolm telling his story. Which I really like that a lot. I like that a lot.
It's
like I said, risky business for black folks. Risky business for black folks.
Yeah, it's so good. It's a great one. I encourage everyone to watch it.
Speaking of risky business for black folks, it's always like it's if black folks take a concept that was created by white people, but they make it better somehow. Like there's another example of that. The best musical of all time, The Wiz. Yeah.
So we just lost every white viewer now, and
Yep, and now we're down to 0.
And it goes I can just sit down. And it's 0.
White people love Michael Jackson.
Cross Korean, white
Koreans, white people.
All right.
Who else can we alienate today?
People with
any
foot
Native American
fetishes.
Inuits out there.
100%.
All right.
But no,
go ahead.
Just one more thing on last on dope because then we will go to the rating system, which I'm pleased about because I already know what I'm gonna give it. But
you gotta do the thing.
Also, yes, I will definitely do the thing. Last thing on the movie too that I thought was just very, 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 very intriguing is how the gay characters treated here. And when I say this like in a good, positive way. Like the character's gay, but her being, and they get the quote unquote the laugh about the gayness, like the conversion therapy out early, which I thought was pretty great. But the character like isn't defined by her gayness.
Yeah, she's more than just being gay. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And she also shows like just a different side. Like it wasn't tropish. I think that's the biggest thing. It never felt tropish. Now, did they use her gayness as jokes sometimes? Yes, but the jokes weren't like, oh, you're gay, blah, blah. It's like, nah, like she dressed like a guy. Dude didn't know it was a girl and like literally flashes him in line.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like, it works on so many levels, but then also it felt like that's what a real friendship would be with those three people. And I thought that was a very, very poignant decision to make her gay, but then also to make the gay thing not like a payoff or a moment that changes the thing. Like it was just like, oh, that character could have been straight and it would have been the same thing. It could have been a tomboy and it would have been the same thing. So could
have been another dude.
That. Yeah. It would have been straight. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go on to our rating system. If you haven't joined us before and you're joining us now, welcome. Hi, come join. Sit around. Come in real close, everybody. If you think something is cool, we give it a head. If we think something is mid, we give it a cannon. And if we think something is straight booty hole, we give it a Circus. All right, Jason. When it comes to the story of this thing, what do you give it?
Oh, I'm giving it. Can I give it multiple heads, like multiple nights?
It's just like a
That's like,
bukkake
yeah,
at the
yeah.
movies.
Like,
Jason,
it's just
your mom watches this.
No, this is
It's
me working
straight.
out. This is me lifting weights.
Glenn, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Glenn. I'm sorry.
This took some Viagra and I'm up all night. Like, this is great.
Lisa, what do you give the story of this here movie?
It gets a tasteful head.
A playgirl, if you will. Chippendale, something nice, something
I'm not
fancy.
trying to offend people's mamas.
I too would give this a head. This is, as I said, one of my favorite movies of all time. So, let's go on to the characters of this movie. Lisa, what would you grade these characters on a scale of head to Circus?
I think that they all get head. I think they're well developed. I think that the actors knew exactly who their characters were, and it showed on screen, and so yeah, head.
Mr. Jason.
Yeah. I'm definitely give it head. Even I loved how they played with time to show one scene then and show something else and play back. I think that was a very good moment to maybe actually get development, especially with white dude and showing the things that he was doing and all. Yeah, Blake. Yeah. I thought that was just I dug it.
I know his real name is Blake. I don't remember his last name, but he's just Blake in everything that he does. It's just I don't care if they give him another character name. It's Blake. That's what it is. It's Blake.
Will he played Will. Will Sherwood.
Yeah. Well, he played Blake. He plays the same character in every movie. He played Blake. Yep. He plays himself. I too really, really enjoy the characters. Every last one of them, even poor Lily. get on that Lily. Which probably
Lily fine as hell, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Second most unrealistic thing about this movie is that you're gonna walk into someone's house. But yeah, that's definitely a head on characters. As a seminal African American classic, what would you rate this movie?
I'm gonna let Lisa go first. I gotta think a moment.
That is not fair.
As a similar African American classic, would you give it a head, a cannon, or a Circus?
No, it gets head. Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, it's head.
Look. Oh man, a black classic though. Ooh. I'm going to give it head on the skin of his teeth because nothing wrong with the movie, but a lot of my black classics got a lot of stuff wrong with it. But for me, the black classic is the thing that if I saw another black guy in the street and I said a line from the movie, they would laugh and know exactly what movie I'm talking about. I don't know if Dope was seen by enough people or has enough lines that it could be a quote unquote black classic. But for me, for this show, it will be considered a black classic. So I'm going to give it a head.
I'm gonna give it a head, regardless of what Jason's talking about.
But that's a true fact, though. Like, look, it's a true fact that people know.
But now that we've reviewed it, everybody's gonna see it.
Yeah, everybody's gonna see it. This is like if I were in my family up in Virginia, and we're all sitting around with all my cousins, and they're dark skinned people up there in Virginia. They all dark, and then we were talking about movies, and I bring up Dope, and if they didn't say they didn't see it, I'm asking for every one of their black cards. I'm like, y'all need to hand it up because I need mine back. So, so one of y'all need to give me y'all. If you didn't know, you can trade your black card in on Fridays to get free fried chicken at Popeyes. It's great.
You can. Did you get it from the back of the building? They don't serve you up front.
Yeah, don't serve you up front.
It's a weird thing.
All right. On our overall scoring on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best, how would you rate this movie? Lisa, and we're looking at you.
5 out of 5.
Jason.
This is 105 out of 5.
Oh, I didn't know that was an option.
I'd
like to change my answer.
We make up rules as we go on this show.
I'm going to give it a 4.99999 repeating. I'm joking. It's a 5 out of 5. I love this. Do the thing, Jason.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing the thing, Jason.
Yes. We got another 5 out of 5. All fives around.
We were not paid by Rick. I can't even pronounce his last name. The director of this movie, Fukunawa. Famu. It's too much. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to butcher people's names. If he said it to me, and then
it's fine. Rick.
Rick. Yeah, well, Mr. Rick. It's like, you're just saying my first name because you don't know how to pronounce my last name, aren't you? You're like, yeah. And he'll pronounce it, and I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Maybe we'll have him on the show one day to talk to him about it.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah. It's like, just say it real slowly, and then like pronounce it like I'm an idiot, because I am. Freaking me out. Thank you everybody for joining us here on the Headcanon Circus podcast. We are everywhere that you want to be found. Your Apple Podcasts, your Spotifys, your YouTubes, your Twitters, your Twitches, your Facebooks. Also, I got a shout out for our book club. We are doing our book club. I believe we're going to be doing that on November the 30th. That's where we're doing the book club. It is the taking of Jake Livingston. Lisa's already got the book. You got paper. You got a paperback?
Yeah,
what kind of book file are you?
What did you get?
Hard.
And I got Kindle, so we got all sources. He got
This is by Ryan Douglas. Hopefully, other Jason number A can get Ryan Douglas on the show. If not, we'll still have a good time. Who cares? I mean, it would be cool, but
it would be super.
Pick up your copies, very cheap. Not the book is not cheap. I mean, the book is cheap, but it's not cheap. You guys know what I'm saying. Y'all can afford it. That's what I'm saying.
$9.99 for the paper copy.
Y'all can afford it.
I don't know what the hardback costs. But...
I know, right?
$47.99. Because I'm rich. I'm like, my fetish is hard-covered books.
There you go. Put it on their feet. Make sure they
put them on
turn
the
page with their toes.
Next week, tell us what to watch next week for our feet podcast.